you, everybody, for being here in a midday meeting. I see no need for translation today, so we will be okay. I need a approval of the agenda.
I motion to approve today's agenda.
Do I have a second?
I second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So carries. We'll go right into student representative reports.
All right, I'll go first. Well, good afternoon, everyone. This is the very first time in which I don't have a student representative report ready, but instead I'd like to just share a few words to Katie since today is her last day as student representative. I would like to thank her for her dedication and effort into being a student representative. She's the embodiment of what it means to be a leader. She has continued to inspire me every single meeting, and she still does to this day. I'll continue to work hard on the behalf of you. I'll miss the conversations and jokes we made while doing our duties. I know you'll continue to do amazing things outside of the high school, and I hope that you can continue to inspire others and touch people's lives just as you did for me. I know you will be successful at university and wish you the best of luck. Thank you for letting me be a part of your journey. I'll miss you.
So for my representative report, I would like to say that last week, our middle school and our high school had a music concert that went really well. The middle school had their combined band and their choir performing a few songs, and as well as the high school. We also, at that night, we also recognized our band seniors as well, so that went really well. So, and it was great, everybody loved it. Our band played really well. Hearing the music program at the middle school was also pretty good as well. And then for this week, it's senior finals on Thursday and Friday, I believe, and it's our last full week, so it's the final push. So we're getting there, so it's pretty awesome. So yeah, that's it.
Thank you. We'll go on to board member discussion.
I wanted to mention that I was also at the concert this last week. It was really great. Katie, you guys did a good job. And they also did a nice little send-off for Mr. Ludi, who's been here for 7 years and is leaving, so I thought that was nice. It was good.
Do you have a legislative report for us, Jan?
Nope, no legislative report today.
Okay. The next thing I see is a conflict, June 10th with a board meeting. Apparently that's DOHS graduation that night, too.
Yeah, so the question was, rather than adjusting the day of the meeting, would we want to continue with the pattern we had in May and move it to a 1 p.m. meeting on that day? Would that work for enough board members?
That would,
Yes.
yeah, definitely.
That's fine with me, yeah.
So we'll announce that adjustment, and then the folks that are interested and available for DOHS graduation can attend that as well.
I think Chris and I are going, right, to DOHS?
Pete, I know we had talked about at our board retreat potentially moving board meetings through the summer to afternoon. We hadn't come to a conclusion or like a final decision on that yet.
Yeah,
Is that something we're still thinking about?
Exactly. We spent some time looking at the board calendar after the board retreat, and so on the 10th, we'll bring that draft in front of you as well, and we'll be mindful of the summer request that came through.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, great, thank you. Any other board member discussion?
I just wanted to piggyback on what Sebastian had said regarding Katie and just express my appreciation for the hard work that you have put in being on the board and attending the NSBA with us in New Orleans and just all the things that I have learned from you and because of you. And I'm just so grateful for all of the effort that you've put in and for the example that you have set, not only for student representatives, but also for the board. And congratulations on your next adventure, and I'm very excited to see all the wonderful things you're going to do in your life.
Thank you, Kate. Okay, now we'll go on to required approvals. Do I have a motion for the required approvals?
I'll motion to approve the required approvals.
I will second that.
Got a first and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So carries. Required approvals are the accounts payable warrants 2. Do we have a motion?
I'll motion to approve the accounts payable warrants 2.
I second it.
Do I
Not yet.
Okay.
This will be my last one, I believe, on this. So I will be abstaining from this vote.
Okay.
Do I have a second?
I second it.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so carries. Superintendent, informational items.
Yeah, thank you, President Johnson. It's an exciting day for the Othello School District for about the last year and a half. For those of you that are new board members who have been at it for 6 or 7 months now, just know for the last 18 months or so, we've been engaging in conversations about strategic planning. And certainly in the superintendent goals that the board established for me last year, a significant portion of that directive from the board was to engage stakeholders in our community and in our district to come up with a strategic plan that would guide the work in Othello for the next 5, 6, or 7 years. And so we were fortunate enough to partner with Dr. Tammy Campbell and the Scholar First. Dr. Campbell works across the country helping school districts think about their work, becoming more coherent and aligned in their practices, and trying to get a better guarantee and return on investment that our community makes in our schools, and we get the outcomes that each of our kids deserves. And so Dr. Campbell is here today to sort of wrap up that work, to share with you where we're at in the final steps of the process, to get a consensus from the board that you're in agreement with what we think are the next best moves in the Othello School District. And then after today, we'll go away and begin to brand it and advertise it and share it with our district and our community. So I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Campbell, and she's going to take us through this process.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm excited to share with you the strategic plan. So members of the board, Superintendent Perez, and members of the audience. It's pretty exciting when a district decides to really commit to outlining its roadmap. And this will be a 6-year plan. And I'm going to go ahead now and share screens with you. I will tell you, you'll have 2 versions of your strategic plan once we get what I would call the sort of advocacy and the full force of the board behind it. You'll have a nice, shiny external document, and then you'll have an internal document that will drive school improvement for all of your schools. And I will say from my experience, both as a superintendent, a national consultant, an assistant superintendent, principal, chief academic officer, often what happens with strategic plans, they are disconnected from what happens at the school level. And this particular student-centered plan is designed to really shape what happens at the school level. So I'm going to share screens with you now. Do you see my screen?
We do not see your screen, Dr. Campbell.
It's not sharing right now.
It looks like it's currently sharing Marissa's screen, so I think we need to be given host ability, or I think Marissa might be able to allow it.
Yeah, it's saying it's sharing on our end.
So if you go to view options, there's 2 shared screens. There's one that says Dr. Tammy Campbell, and there's one that says Marissa. I think you have to select the Dr. Tammy Campbell one for it to share.
Should I do that, or does Marissa have to do that, Kylie?
I think they have to do that on their end.
Okay.
It says that there's 2 options that I'm seeing right now at the top of the screen under view options.
Marissa, do you see it? What Kylie's describing?
So if you go to the top of the screen, it says you are viewing Marissa's screen. The very top of the window, and then it says view options. There's a drop-down option that will then allow you to select Dr. Campbell's screen or Marissa's screen.
Just give us a moment here, Dr. Campbell.
No worries.
Are you able to stop share, Marissa?
Yes, I can. Do you want me to stop?
No, we'll stop on our end.
Okay.
There we go. You're up.
Okay, perfect. So again, really excited to share with you the strategic plan. You will not see the final product because we do this first, and then we work behind the scenes with the graphic designer to actually pull it together. But we're going to show you all the components that will be in your finished plan. One of the things that we like to do is outline our deliverables. And so today, you're seeing a part of how we make sure we hold ourselves accountable. We came to you to help us with mission statement work. That actually should be a green X. So we've got the mission statement complete. And this is just a way to say we did what we said we were going to do. Over 1,300 stakeholders participated in your strategic planning process. In your actual document, in the strategic plan, the final one, we actually have a section where we lay out the number of stakeholders who participated. We framed up a vision of the student experience that will drive everything. The entire strategic plan's purpose is to make this description of what our vision of the student experience a reality. We want every student, every scholar in Othello to say that they know what success looks like, that they're achieving, that they're working hard, that they're a dreamer, and that they believe in themselves, and more importantly, that Othello believes in them. And if we survey them, if their student academic results say these things, we know our strategic plan has been successful. We identified core values. These will be in your new strategic plan that we're working behind the scenes to pull together. Integrity, community, excellence, we've described it. We shared that this describes the way the adults will behave in Othello to accomplish the vision. We then work behind the scenes. This will not actually be in your theory, in your strategic plan. This will actually be something that the central office leaders will work behind the scenes to be sure they stay focused over the next 6 years. I only share this to say that this will be in the background so that every part of the organization, from educators, school leaders to district leaders, have specific actionable steps they're going to engage in. So we finished that. And then we laid out goal areas. This really is the heart of the plan, that we've got goal area 1, safety and belonging, goal area 2, early excellence, goal area 3, mastery of standards, goal area 4, future ready. What do you notice? Every single goal is focused on a student outcome. The way this will work in the fall, when this plan is kicked off, all schools will have goal area 1, safety and belonging as an area of focus. And if you're in elementary school, you'd have goal area 2 or 3 and goal area 1. If you're in middle school, you'd have goal 1 and goal 3. And if you're in high school, you'll have goal 1 and goal 4. They'll keep those goals for the next 6 years, but what will evolve and sort of shift their focus will be practices. And I'll show you what I mean in a minute. But these 4 goals and the metrics and performance targets will really be the heart and soul of your strategic plan over the next 6 years. We then took those goal areas and we met with staff, key, what I call academic school-based staff, and they outlined outcomes, the teaching practices, the school leader practice, and the system practice. We then categorized these practices by sustaining practices, implementing practices, or new and developing. A sustaining practice is something we're already doing that we want to keep doing. An implementing practice is a practice that some schools are doing, but we're not doing it at the level of fidelity that we would like. And if we were already doing everything that we should be doing, we'd have the results. That's why you want some new things that are in there, and that's the new and developing. And then the last column of the form that we use with staff is we had them to identify when we would be doing these practices. And so we've broken it down, and anything that's phase 1 will be rolled out and implemented across the system in the first 2 years, phase 2, the first 4 years, and phase 3 before the end of the 6-year cycle. Here's what this looks like. For goal area 1, safety and belonging, here's a sample. We have an outcome. You can see that on the left. And then you see the teacher practices, you see the school leader practice, you also see the district practices, and then you see the stages of implementation and the phases of focus. This is what makes this particular strategic plan strategy and approach that the Scholar First used much more actionable at the school level. So if I'm a principal and this is my goal area, I know exactly what we've agreed upon, not just that one leader at a school, but across your whole district. All leaders came together and said, these are the kinds of things we want teachers to do, educators to do. This is what we want our building principals to do, and by support and extension, the district to do. So we did this for every single one of your goal areas. Goal area 2, I'm not trying to have you to read all of these. I want you to see the level of detail that's in your strategic plan. Goal area 2, early excellence. See the outcome, you see the teacher practice, school leader practice, district practice. Here's the beauty of a plan like this. Say you get a new principal who comes from outside of the district, or new educators who come in and out. They're not having to think of what they're doing from year over year. Your plan now has this all codified, written out, and this will inform professional development. Goal area 3, again, same approach here, same level of coherence and articulation of the strategies. And by the way, I didn't say this, all of these practices are research-based. They did some real important homework to look at what the research says causes students to improve, and that's what you're going to see in your strategic plan. This level of detail of the practices will be on your internal version of your strategic plan. It will not be an external access to this. This is what teachers and school leaders will use to drive improvement. And for every single goal area, we have performance targets, student specific, and we use this 9 out of 10, 8 out of 10, because we want it to actually be personal as opposed to percentages. So by 2030, these are the performance targets we've set for ourselves. How did we come to these? You look at your current data and you say, what would be a reasonable, doable stretch target? You would love to say 10 out of 10, but if your current data, for example, and I don't know, I'm not necessarily referring to yours, but I was in a district that had 3 out of 10 students reading on grade level. Their stretch target is 7 out of 10 because what they know about the amount of growth you can get year over year across all of your schools. So you will see you've got real stretch in your performance targets, but this will now be articulated to each school so they can then think about what their SMARTY goals are going to be to accomplish these performance targets by 2030. We also worked on a graduate profile, and the one thing about Othello's graduate profile, you had already done some really good work. And my belief is you don't just come in and replace what the Scholar First had as a framework. You had a solid framework, and I really liked how your team had already started to think about making it actionable. So we kept your structure. All we did was have you to add and update some of the competencies. Here is your profile of a graduate. You had one competency. We had you to add an additional one so that you had enough meat on the bones to really create solid units. We then took the goal areas and we met with your central office leaders and we said, what will finance? What will human resources? What will all of your departments at the central office have to do to ensure we've given support for those 4 goal areas? And within each of these, you'll see foundations, engaging and effective teaching and learning systems. Remember the practices I just shared with you? You do not accomplish those practices without teaching and learning, engaging in some initiatives over the next 6 years. And that's what that first column is. Authentic community engagement. We're going to have to be engaging with families and community in ways that allow us to accomplish the goals. Those 4 bullets underneath describe district and school work that has to happen for us to be successful. And we also know we need infrastructure. We need the kinds of things that the buildings, all those things that support teaching and learning, facilities and operations for an outstanding student experience. Those are the 4 areas that if someone works in those departments at the central office, they'll know what's their skin in the game to help our schools accomplish the goals. And then a culture of excellence, accountability, and continuous improvement. Again, there's some hiring components that are there. There's also operational pieces around schedules, all of these things that work in tandem to support the goal areas. This, again, is now a part of your strategic plan. And then at the end, we had the group come together and offer up 4 examples of a promise statement, 4 options. We sent that out for a vote, and based on all of that feedback, here is the promise statement, the one with the most votes that actually prevailed. Believe, achieve, belong, empowering dreams for all. This will be the new brand, the new phrase, the new statement that will be on the cover of your new strategic plan that will really convey what we believe we're going to be doing across the system and the way in which the spirit of the strategic plan is how I think about the promise statement. And certainly the mission statement work that you offered up as a board, we wanted to circle back to you to let you see this, where we landed based on your feedback and all of your words. The Othello School District will educate, empower, and ensure the success of every student in our community by building healthy relationships, developing character, and providing meaningful, rigorous instruction. This came from all of the words we collected from you at a previous board meeting. This will now be a part of your new strategic plan. The next steps is for you to give us your consent, your approval, and then we will brand the plan, create the internal, external versions of the plan, and then the hardest part of all, operationalizing the plan and driving continuous improvement inside of your system. I'm going to stop and open this up for comments or questions.
You want me to go first, or you ready to go? I think one of the pieces that maybe is new for the board during this presentation was that component around foundations. And what I found myself thinking as Dr. Campbell was describing that is, where do I see myself as a board member in this work? And it really is about those 4 big buckets and making sure that the district, and I'm the employee that you get to supervise and direct, am I making sure those things are happening? So as I was listening for places where I might engage as a board member, I particularly thought that might be a new one for you. And I also appreciated the nested idea goals that came through, and I think I've shared that with you in the past. What are the goals of the community? What are the goals of the district? How do those match with the goals of the schools and with individual teachers? So a couple of things that sort of popped out to me in that description from Dr. Campbell.
One other way that boards engage in this is that once this is fleshed out, you do goal area updates for the board and progress, where schools come and they share. That's probably the most important role, is monitoring and giving feedback about how it's going across the district related to the plan.
Yeah, I think tied to that comment, I could see you all sitting with a version of these documents that we're going to produce in front of you at board meetings. I could see you looking at those documents and us tying it, the presentation you're going to hear from Jennifer today about the work at the preschool. Next year, that would be tied to the goals that are tied to our strategic plan. The goals that we're going to establish in the next month or so for me as superintendent, tied to that strategic plan. And in our agendas, when we talk about assurance of organizational performance, we're talking about those pieces in our strategic plan and the metrics that we've agreed to and demonstrating progress.
One thing I didn't realize, but I appreciate, is that there are two strategic plans, one inside the other, where with all of the nitty gritty.
Yes.
I mean, there's one that, like you said, is the shiny version that we show the community, and that's really what, our main is. But there's also that other set that fits inside that we look at to really hold ourselves accountable to each of those individual statements. I'm a learner. Okay, what are we doing to prove that that is true? Like, anyway, so I really appreciate that. It had been on my mind as we've been going through this process of, like, I love this, but also how do we keep track of the things that we're doing? So I appreciate the clarification that we'll have an even more in-depth version that we'll have behind the scenes.
Yes. And I would just say Superintendent Perez has really shared with you one of the most important components. And many boards and superintendent teams calendar goal area 1 update, goal area 2. They calendared for the year. And that's how you hear progress. That's one of the most compelling ways to do it. And of course, someone is ringing my doorbell. I continue, just 2 minutes.
I bet it's the LDS missionaries. Just kidding.
Other questions or comments, sort of internal discussions for us that you all want to share?
2030 sounds like a long time away, but I guess that's only 6 years. I really liked the goal she had, how she was saying, they can't all be 10 out of 10 just based on where you are, but quite a few of ours were 10 out of 10 actually at the high school level.
Yeah, so the folks that got together to talk about those metrics, they looked, like she said, at current reality, and then they mapped out what seemed like research-based reasonable goals and where we might hit at the end. And again, the other key word she used was stretch. How are we going to stretch ourselves to make sure we're making progress? And then in the next 6 years, we might adjust those. Hey, we got a little further than we thought. Hey, we didn't make much progress at all, and we have this new shift coming in our system, so we're going to go this way. But yeah, stretching it out there 5 or 6 years so we stick at some things as well, and we get the return on investment.
Absolutely.
I currently have a daughter in 6th grade who graduates in 2030. So hopefully we'll be able to see the fruits of our labor. I mean, she'll be at the end of this 6-year plan, but hopefully the impact will be greater year after year after year. So I'll be watching. I'll be keeping track. Just kidding.
Other questions or comments from the board?
So when we went to NSBA, we got to see that school from New York that, to me, it puts it in the perspective now. When we went to the meeting down under the conference, I think they were, a year and a half into it? So it made sense a little bit more when you've seen them, but they had bought into that system really, really bad, that school district. And so to see them and to see the kids that they had there, I'm excited. I'm excited to see Aaron, 2030 is not that far away. It's 1998 was when I graduated. That seems like forever ago, and it looks like it went in a blink of an eye. So, like Lindsay, I have several kids still to go through this system, so I'm looking forward to seeing this, because I got to see what it did somewhere else a year and a half in, and if we can get that excited and everybody buy into this program, I think it'll be great.
Yeah, I think one of the next important moves for us is, as Dr. Campbell shared, there are a number of school districts across the country that do this kind of work, and then do they put it into action? Do they operationalize it? And that'll be my job to make sure that we move it down the road. What we're looking for today is, and I think I feel it in the room, at least 3 head nods to say, keep going, let's put the product together, and we're good to go. And I feel that in the room, and I just want to make sure that that's where you all are at.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the mission statement that we came up with, just because that's one of the things that school district did was, after the flag salute, they said their mission statement every morning, and I'm excited.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think looks like that's it for the questions and comments from the board. Dr. Campbell, do you have anything else for us?
No, I just want to say, board members, it's sponsorship is one of the most important things that I know I appreciated from my board, is being aware what was in that plan and being excited about it and really focusing on it. Some districts will do a plan, and then there's an idea of something else, some other novel idea. Once you have your plan, stick with your plan. Stay focused on your plan, execute your plan, and move out of the way. Watch what happens. It'll be incredible.
All right. Well, thank you, Dr. Campbell. We appreciate you being here with us, and we appreciate all the work, and I'll catch up with you offline and talk about next steps.
All right. Take care.
Yeah.
Thank you, board members.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any more on superintendent information?
We just had one more item, and it was actually Sebastian kind of got us going, and then Lindsay jumped on board. So I did want to take a moment and open up the space for board members as well to thank Katie for her work as a student representative. As the parent of a senior at Othello High School, I know how busy the senior year is, and I appreciate Katie taking the time and energy to be a student rep. I appreciate her participation at NSBA and at Cookies for Convos and partnering with Sebastian on a number of activities to encourage student voice. And what I also appreciate is how seriously she takes the role. She really goes out and tries to hear from our students and let us know how they're feeling about the work that's happening. And one of the other words I would use to talk about Katie is advocacy. She comes back and advocates for them. Even if it's going to have very little impact on her as a student, she wants to make sure that everybody's voice is heard. So I wish Katie well at WSU, I think, is where she's headed. And she'll have the summer to prepare herself and probably more importantly for her mom and dad to prepare themselves for her to be gone. So I wish Katie well and thank her for her time on the board as a student rep. So thank you, Katie.
And also, Katie, I really appreciate the time that you put in. When we originally appointed you, normally it's hard to pick a senior because we know they're short. It's going to be a short time. But you impressed us so much in your interview, we stepped out of our lane to do that, to appoint you to this position. And I'm really glad we did. You have brought a lot of information, enjoyment, and other things to this board, especially how much you advocate for the students and the students of OHS also too. We really appreciate it.
When we went and did Cookies and Convo at the high school, we were sitting at a long table, a lot like this actually, the board members here and then Katie at the end. And the whole time for both lunches, there was just like a crowd of people at that corner of the table. And then anyone who couldn't get to see Katie, they like kind of wandered over to us, like, I have to get a cookie somehow. But there was just a crowd of people over by Katie because they knew that they know her and they know that she's advocating for them, and I think she's done a really great job.
Yeah, I know it's been short couple months here working with you, Katie, but I enjoyed every minute of it and just seeing how you, in the short time, you've grown and developed, and the future looks very bright for you. So yeah, thank you for being that connection. That it's really helped me out being a new board member. Like your boots on the ground, you're right there, and it's really helped me to adjust in this new role that I'm in. So thank you, and good luck at WSU.
I want to say thank you. It's been short for me, for three of us, but you've made it very, very exciting. NSBA trip that we had was awesome. To get to watch you two guys just out of your element, get to see new things, get to your hard work. You put a high standard on whoever's going to take your spot, Katie, in my eyes. You've gone out, you listen to people, you take everything they come, and just keep doing that. You're an amazing person, and I'm just really proud of you, like really proud of you. I wish I was as smart as you. Let's just put it that way.
Same.
You're just amazing, and I wish you the best of luck. Just don't forget where you come from, Othello, and come visit us every once in a while. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I would like to say thank you. I did not expect to go into a board meeting crying, but oh man, thank you for everything. I'm honestly very blessed and very grateful for this opportunity. Oh my God. Yeah, thank you so much, everyone. You guys had such a big impact on me. It's not even funny, but thank you so much for this opportunity. Thank you for having me here, having this opportunity to advocate for kids, even though tons of kids don't have that type of way of living, having this sense of belonging where they can't voice their opinions. So having me here, helping kids who aren't powerful enough to say something, and me being able to have that confidence, and other kids having confidence to come up to me and voice their concerns about issues they really believe in, and having that influence on people is really great. So I would say thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, now we will go on to the Fellow School District Preschool Report.
Okay, well, thank you for the opportunity to be here this afternoon. There we go. Thank you. Some of the information I'm going to share with you today, I kind of shared it when you were at the preschool site. But I just wanted to share with you some of the history of the preschool program and what our focus has been this year. So, like I mentioned when you were there, we started, when I took over there, it was just one classroom, and then we split that and we made 3 gen ed classrooms. And then we grew and we moved over to McFarland and we added a full day class. And then currently we have 3 full day classes that are transitional kindergarten classes. We have 4 half day classes, and then we have 2 special ed classes for students with special needs. And then next year we're actually adding 1 more transitional kindergarten class, so there will be 2 at Scootney. And this year we have about 230 students between all of our classrooms, and so when I started we had about 90, and so we've increased quite a bit. And then the other thing I shared with you that day was just the amount of students with special needs, that every year we're getting more and more and more of those. And this year we currently have 40 students that we serve. Some of them are just in our special ed classes, and then we have several of them that go to both the gen ed classes and the special ed classes for the services that they need. So we have grown quite a bit over the last 7 years. So this year, every Monday during PLC, we kind of had 2 focuses. One was kind of our community, the culture at our building, and so we did a book study on a book called The Little Book of Gratitude. And then on other PLC Mondays, the standards that we have to follow are the Walk Kids standards, which is the assessment that they give to all kindergartners. And our transitional kindergarten classes also take that same assessment, so they take it 3 times a year. And it measures their growth in 8 different areas. But this year we kind of took a deeper dive into the 4, we call them the foundational areas, so the social, emotional, physical, and language. And then also we always are still focused on the academic side, but we really took some time to dig into the foundational skills and make sure that kind of the idea of the whole child, that we're getting all of those areas. So one Monday we would focus on gratitude, and we did a variety of activities as we went through the book. And then on the opposite Monday, we would look at the standards and what were we doing in class currently to meet that standard, maybe what did we need to do additionally. Oftentimes I asked teachers to bring ideas and share, so that if something great was happening in one class, we could make sure that it was happening throughout our whole program. So these are the areas, the 3 areas that we really took a kind of a deeper dive into. And then so you can see under social emotional, there is some specific standards that we had to meet. Same with physical and then language. So basically, like, are kids able to self-regulate? Can they take care of their own needs? Do they know how to share? Do they know how to take turns? Can they, almost like Katie was saying, can they advocate for themselves? In language, it's learning to speak and to use full sentences and to like retell a story, and just being able to basically communicate with each other and with other adults. And then physical is obviously your fine and gross motor skills. So we do a lot of development around fine motor skills, because your fine motor skills are what's going to help you be able to write. And so we have tons and tons of activities that kind of build those skills. Another big area of focus this year for us was inclusionary practices and multilingual practices. So the ML strategies, that was kind of like a district-wide focus. And then inclusionary practices, just like I said, we're getting more and more students that have a variety of needs. And so changing some of our instruction to make sure that we're including all of those students. So like I mentioned, I think this year we have, 11 students that were originally in our special ed class, and then now we've made sure that we push them into the gen ed class also. And a couple of them no longer even go like to the special ed room. They just stay in gen ed, and they might get pulled for speech or for occupational therapy, but they're just in the gen ed setting. But that took some changes, because sometimes what comes with that is some challenges. And then even if they didn't have an IEP, and they didn't qualify for special ed services, we also just had a lot of big behaviors. So again, working on those PLC Mondays to talk about what types of things can we change in our instruction, in our day-to-day things that can make sure that we're doing what's right for them, that we're doing what's best for them, and that we're including them, and not saying, you can't be here because you have bad behavior, but how can we help them change that behavior? So one of the things up there is just visuals. So especially at this age, but actually even sometimes all the way through school, there's just kids, if they have a visual of it, I mean, if you think about yourself, are you an auditory learner? Are you a visual learner? Myself, if I can see you do it, then I can do it. But if you hand me the manual and say, read this, I'm like, no. So same thing with kids. And so trying to put as many visuals in the classroom as we could, whether it was their own personal schedule that they could look at pictures of what was going to come next, or it was a schedule that was up on the board that all the students could see. Ashley Phillips is the behavior specialist for the district, and so she came over and helped us create some very specific plans for a couple students that really had some significant behaviors. And so one of the things she brought with that was safe body, but that was something that worked for that student, but we put it in all of our classrooms. So instead of telling a kid, no, don't do that, or stop doing that, we just say safe body, safe hands, safe mouth, instead of no, 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 no all the time. Then for the social emotional piece, I worked with the ESD, and we got a program called Tucker the Turtle, and it's just teaching kids there's more emotions than happy and sad. You can be angry, but what is the proper way to behave when you're angry? You can do this, this, and this, but you cannot do this. And so it goes through a variety of motions, and there's a little puppet that's the Tucker the Turtle, and the kids love that. But really just helping them learn how to self-regulate, and when they're having those emotions, whether it is that they're excited, you can be excited, but we can't get out of control. This is still how you behave when you're excited. So it really walks them through different emotions. We have a calming corner, which is just a space they can go. Some teachers have a beanbag, some teachers just have a chair, and then there's usually like different fidgets or stuff that they can go and just, if they need to calm themselves down. We have the school counselor, Kimberly Cirillo. She works at MMS, but one day a week she came over to the preschool, and so that she also would go in and do Tucker the Turtle lessons. And then she also pulled individual kids or like small groups of kids to work on some very specific, maybe a specific emotion or a specific situation. So that was really helpful to have her this year. A couple summers ago, we got trained in the GLAD strategies. And so again, that's a lot of visuals also, or putting things that they need to know into a song, lots of pictures, lots of posters, any type of realia that they can actually engage with. And then to work on the area of speaking, to develop that language, we have purposeful play. And at this time of the year, some of the classes are starting to learn, like they plan, so they have to tell the teacher, I'm gonna go to the block area because I'm gonna build a castle. I'm gonna go to the kitchen area because I'm gonna make spaghetti for dinner. So like they're telling the teacher what they're gonna do, they go do it, and then review is when they come back, the teacher says, Jennifer, did you go to the kitchen? What did you do there? You know, so then they just tell like, oh yeah, I made spaghetti and I shared with whoever. And so they're just like reporting back what they did. We have snack talks, so it's like a picture that's out during their snack time or their lunchtime or breakfast time, and then it's just kind of a starting point to have a conversation. So one of them has a bunch of superheroes on it, so they might say, I like Superman, and then they give the reason why. It's just teaching them how to answer a question besides yes or no, or just one word, but really working on that sentence development. They have puppets. We do a lot of first this, then you can do this. First you have to do your assignment, then you can go to the block area. And then Why We Play is actually a series of articles that we send home to parents that just tells them, why do we play with Play-Doh? Why do we do puzzles? Why do we have imaginary play? And so that's a piece that we share with parents to try to encourage them to do those things at home and not just be on electronics all the time. The next slide just shows with you some of our current numbers. So I already mentioned the 11 that are just in, or have an IEP, but they are just in the gen ed setting. And so like next year, they'll go into kindergarten and they might just get resource room support. We have 6 more students that do both. They go to the gen ed and the special ed session. We have 36 that are just in our special ed classes. Most of those a lot of those are our 3-year-olds. And so like next year, actually we have a meeting next week to plan how many of them are gonna go into the gen ed setting next year. Jessie Maxey is our speech pathologist, and she has 17 that only come in for speech services. So she might go to ECAP and serve those students. She might go over to the Inspire Center, and then some of those parents bring their kid in just for the half-hour session. We have 84 kids that have speech and maybe something else. So maybe they have speech and OT, or they have speech and cognitive, or they have speech and adaptive. But they don't qualify in all areas, just speech and usually one other area. This year was a big year for us. We had 125 referrals. That means 125 students that were brought to our special ed team to screen, and then 52 of them we did evaluations. So, and then we have, I think we have a little bit more, but we have 100 ML students, so students that speak another language. And then the next several slides are just several pictures I wanted to share with you about some of the things. So one of the things at preschool is you will very rarely find a worksheet. Everything we do, we try to make it hands-on. So something that they're getting to experience, they're getting to feel it, they're getting to see it, and not just a worksheet where they just have to answer the question. So some of you might have seen this in Sandy Brown's class, I believe, when you came to the site visit last week. But the little boys over there that are digging in that bin, those are what's called loose parts. And loose parts is, if you look at it, you think it's random garbage. Because the first few times I saw it, I was like, we're gonna do what? But it really is, it's completely random stuff, but to watch them have to use their imagination and the things that they build and the things that they create, it's usually really impressive. So it's that there's no parameter, there's no guidelines. It's what can you do? What can you do with this bucket full of stuff? The little bridge on the bottom, we do the story of the 3 billy goats, and that is a set where then they have to try to make their own bridge for the billy goats to cross over. So again, those are little pieces that bend and fold and Velcro, and just letting them explore to see what type of a bridge they can make. The beads on the bottom there, the little rock things, that is just working on their fine motor skills to have to pick up those little rocks, and then there's patterns that they're placing on there. The one on the far right is process art. So again, it's not, here's this cute picture, I want you to copy exactly what I did, but it's here's a whole bunch of art supplies, what can you create? And so you can see some of the pieces of work that they made there. The 2 little girls sitting at the top reading a book. Obviously, one of our goals is to get books in kids' hands all the time. But those 2 little girls were enemies most of the year. And so to have them sitting reading that book together was quite remarkable. And then the other picture is just one of the centers that we have at Purposeful Playtime that connects. And same thing, they magnetize together, and just the conversations that they have to be able to share those, to work together, to build something together. Is really working on all those skills, those foundational skills that I shared with you on the previous slide. This is just showing you, so we do the story of the little red hen. We have a story card on it for 3 weeks. So this is just kids really getting to experience, that's a bucket or a tub of wheat. And then teacher Dina brought in her grinder, so they got to grind the wheat. And then the little girl is shaking a jar, they made butter. And then in Teacher Sandy and Teacher Angelica's class, they made pizza, the dough for the pizza. And in some of the other classes, they made rolls or toast. But the fun thing was just getting to shake, shake, shake and make butter. But just an example of really trying to make the experience real for kids and authentic. And because if you just read The Little Red Hen and grind wheat, that they have no concept of what that is. But here, so we try to bring in as many things as we can. I've got in trouble a couple times this year for we have a little oven, and maintenance doesn't like me to bring in that little oven, but we keep doing it anyway. We blew a breaker, but it's all right, it got fixed. And here's just some more examples of kids working on building those fine motor skills. So all those things that they're doing, writing on the wall, like when the paper's up on the wall, having to lay on their stomachs. You wouldn't think that laying on your stomach is gonna help you with your fine and gross motor skills, but it really does, because it's building your core strength to be able to sit like that. So those are just a variety of activities that they're doing to really build those muscles in their hand and then their larger muscles throughout their whole system. This again is just working on the speaking part. So they read the story of the Goldilocks and the Three Little Bears. No, Goldilocks, and the Three Bears. And so they were playing using the phone, but just getting them to, like I say, all those activities that are on there are just working on, they tie into the different stories. So the bottom one is we do the Three Little Kittens lost their mittens. And so they make pie, they eat pie with the mittens on, so then they had to wash them, and now they're hanging them to dry. There's the bear one is we do brown bear, brown bear. Anyway, all just things to help them work on that they have to get up and talk, they have to say something, which we have kids all throughout our entire system that struggle to get up and talk in front of people. And so we have 4 and 5-year-olds that are doing that, so it's really fun to watch. And they love those crazy puppets. I was never a puppet fan, but they love them. This is just an example of one of the, like a daily schedule. So sometimes students will have their very own of these because they need that right there in front of them to have that visual, and sometimes it's on a larger scale. But that's just so, sometimes they'll have a clip or something that they're moving from thing to thing so they know, like, okay, I'm gonna put away my backpack, and then we're gonna sit and have circle time, and then we're gonna have breakfast. They just need that step by step. It calms them, it reassures them of what's coming next. And when you change the schedule, it can not be very fun. This is something that Ashley had shared with us, what I mentioned earlier about the safe body. So we cut these up into cards and we sorted them, and the teachers did a lot of activities with these to really teach kids the difference between what's safe and what's not safe. This is just another thing that we use with some of our students that kind of helps them. The first one is kind of almost like a behavior chart. So maybe they're working for one-on-one time with the teacher, or that they get to play with their favorite dinosaur, or they get to do a puzzle or something. And so there will be a picture in that box of what they're working for, and then those stars of Velcro on. And same thing, it's just another visual to show them, okay, I got 1 star. Okay, now I have 3. I got to get 2 more. It just kind of helps them stay motivated to keep working. And then with a lot of our kids, and actually even the whole class, we do a lot of first then. First you have to do this, then you can do that. And sometimes they get really mad at that board. This is just Tucker the Turtle, and then the 4 steps there is a process that takes them through. He teaches them about how to breathe to calm yourself down. So whether you're super upset, or you're mad, or you're angry, those are the steps that Tucker the Turtle teaches for how to calm down. And then this is 2 cute little, quick little videos I just wanted to share with you. Again, just showing these kids talking. And I know you didn't know them at the beginning of the year, but if you would have known them at the beginning of the year, like this little one, she wouldn't hardly say a word, so.
By the bay, where the water lemon grow, back to my home, I dare not go with for if I do, my mother will say.
Have you ever seen a
shower? Taking a shower, jump by the bay.
Have you ever seen a flower taking a shower? Could that happen? That's so silly.
And there's just one other one of when they were doing the Big Bad Wolf. 3 little pigs. Anyway, just kind of a couple examples of, so they spend, depending on if we're doing story carts or rhyming boxes, The rhyming boxes, some of them they do 1 week, 2 weeks, and then the story cards are usually 3 weeks. So they really spend a lot of time really digging into those stories and the characters, and then they read other versions of that same story. So they can do things like compare and contrast, problem and solution. Anyway, but then there's lots of really fun, engaging activities that they get to do that go along with those. So that is all I have for you today. So I don't know if you have questions for me.
Not questions,
Okay.
just as much as comments.
Okay, sure.
I really wish we had more room for that program.
Me too.
Because you only reach about 1/3 of the kids, and you do such a great job. The kids that enter into kindergarten for the next year. And I really wish we could give all the kids the same opportunity that you have given them in the preschool.
Yeah.
It's just absolutely fabulous. We me and Lindsay happened to be in the room when the kids sang the song, I Love America. And that made the whole trip worthwhile right there. I just absolutely loved it. It was great.
Yeah. Thank you.
I love coming to the preschool. From you to your staff, everybody who works there, the energy is so good. It always feels so welcoming, and the kids are the best. I mean, who doesn't love little kids? You have to be just like have a heart of stone to not walk in there and melt over these kids and the things that they're learning. And I mean, the things that they can do, it just blows my mind. So I'm proud of the district that they have put resources and time and energy into this program, and you for leading it. Like it's amazing the things you guys are doing for these little kids in preparing them for kindergarten and the rest of their educational journey. So thanks for having us. It was so good. 10 out of 10.
Thank you.
For me, I'm like a little bit like Ken. I just wish every kid had an opportunity to go there. After being there, your staff is amazing. With the kids and with the parents, how you've done so much with so little, how no parking and having to get those kiddos off the buses, that to me was, that you basically turned a train wreck into something organized. I have no idea how you did that. The staff there, you could tell. I love the fact that you guys use MMS students and kids from the DOHS to come over and help. It was really cool to see. It gives them a sense of belonging, and like I said, there was one student there that we had met him earlier in the year, and he felt, I mean, he should be a teacher. Kudos to you for taking a program that was probably very small, not funded as much as it should have, and turn it into this. So for you, thank you. I asked you some hard questions, and with me, that's who I am, and I just thank you so much for putting all your heart and everything into this program, because you could tell, and your staff feeds off of you, so I greatly appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I do have an amazing staff.
Yeah, I appreciate the presentation. I apologize for not being there, but
No problem.
I love how you're interacting with like the wheat, and you make it into flour. For being an ag community, that's really an eye opener for these kids to get that. Understand early that the food doesn't come from Walmart. When they're driving around, they see a wheat field, they'll slowly start to connect, and then the butter too. That's neat.
Yeah.
That's the appreciation for our community and stuff. So, yeah, it takes a tremendous staff and patience to deal with all the kids. And then 2 of my kids went through your preschool, and then my oldest one, you didn't have it yet, but went through Teacher Melly, but and she does a phenomenal job.
Yes.
But I mean, and honestly, I don't see a difference. So whatever you're doing, you're doing just as good as she is and stuff. So that's awesome. Yeah, I agree. If we can get every kid started, it's because as a farmer, like if I don't get my calves started right, they're always playing catch up.
Right.
And if I don't get my corn planted right and all the steps, and I use that philosophy on the same thing with the preschool. I mean, by you creating the foundation and getting these kids started, it's just they're just going to excel all the way up and get the best out of them. So, yeah, keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you.
In your presentation, you said something along the lines of you have a lot of kids with I think you said a variety of behaviors, and I think that's an understatement. Just the time we were there, we saw the whole array of learning capabilities and behaviors and everything, and just the way that you and your team were able to adjust to all those and include them all and work with them all. It's really great, and we're really thankful for it.
Yeah,
So,
thank you.
Good work.
Thank you.
One more thing for me.
Yes.
And I know that we're always invited, but I'd love for you to invite us next year at the beginning.
Okay.
'Cause I'd love to see these little kids as they come in to something new and then to watch as they leave, because I did not believe you when I left that room still, that 3 of those kids. So kudos again, like I said, but I'd really like to go see at the beginning of the
Okay,
year.
I'll invite
just
you
to
in
see.
September when it's lots of fun.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Pete, did you have anything to say on that?
No, I appreciate the board's comments to Jennifer and her leadership there at the preschool. So thank you for that.
Thank you. Next, we will go on to policy review. We have some more DOPs there to review. So if you get a chance to take a look at those, any questions or comments, please get back. At this time, do we have any public comment?
No comments today.
Okay. Seeing none, we will go to upcoming events. It's going to be a busy June.
Ken, we did update the June 10th meeting time to 1 p.m. And we had also talked at the retreat about the regular board meeting on the 24th to make sure we can have a quorum and that some of us may be participating via Zoom, and that would be a 12 p.m. meeting. So I wanted to make the board aware of those 2 adjustments.
Okay.
Really quick, Pete, it says that MMS promotion is at 10 a.m. Is that accurate? Do you know? I thought I had got on Parent Reach that it was at 9. I just want to make sure I have the right time so I show up at the right time.
Yeah. Well, I would go with the Parent Square comment you got from the school, but we'll double check with them today.
Okay.
Thank you for catching that. 10 does seem like they might not have enough time to get her done.
Yeah. Because isn't school out at 11 that day or 12?
Yeah, it's out closer to 11, yes.
Okay, do you see anything else on that list that we need to add, or?
No, we're doing the only one I think for was the June 24th, but I think we're doing everything we can to try to make that work out. So.
Yes, and by Zoom too, so. Okay. We will go on to the board self-assessment of the meeting.
I'd like to give not necessarily on the meeting, but a shout out to the OHS choir. Yesterday, I was at the Memorial Day celebration at the cemetery, and it's been a tradition in my family, and we've been going. But the choir has always participated, and I just wanted to recognize the choir for coming out and singing and being a part of the community celebration. Some years it's a good turnout, some years it's not. This year was a good turnout, but having the choir there singing, really, I know the veterans that were there were honored. They really appreciated it, and so I'd like to give just recognition, and hopefully they keep doing that and making it an annual event.
I love the preschool presentation by Jennifer today. That was really great. Anytime we get to talk about our little husky pups is a good day for the district.
And also the time that we took to honor Katie for her time serving on the school board.
Sad time, but excited for her.
Yep. Also appreciated the strategic planning update. Can't think of what her name is right now, but Dr. Campbell. Kimball or Campbell? Campbell, like the soup? Okay, Campbell, yep.
Any more to add to the assessment?
I thought the temperature of the room got better as we went. At the beginning, it was
It's
a little
amazing.
warm, but
Really?
Yeah.
I had to put my blanket on.
That's when we know it's good.
when Pete went over there, I just saw this whole, they all just scowled in his direction. It was really funny.
I also wanted to do for the girls softball team, for Elise Martinez, taking over for Rudy Ochoa and that program and working really hard for the on Friday and Saturday. And I think they ended up taking 5th. But for all her hard work and all those girls, and especially for those 6 seniors, it was really fun to watch.
Great, thank you. We'll move on to executive session. The board will recess to executive session for 60 minutes to discuss the performance of a public employee. No action will be taken following the executive session. We will meet back in Pete's office in about 3 minutes. Thank you.